I am not a hero. My wife is not a hero, even though we have both been accused of that. The hero's journey is a structure of how certain stories are written. You have to write yourself as a hero if you survived whatever you got through. But it doesn't mean you have to make yourself look like this amazing hero. It's basically a way that people write about their experiences. And you can take some of the elements from it, you don't have to do all of it. Here's the key ingredient: don't get into the VZ. What's the VZ? The victim zone. When you think about stories, we always remember the hero and the villain. Nobody ever remembers the victim. So don't allow yourself to get into the victim zone. Most likely you're here because something dark happened, or you're carrying around something dark. That's why I changed the style of the slides, because now we're going deeper and we're going deeper into the darkness. I don't expect you're here because of some happy story. And so I'm setting the tone and setting the mood, because we have to go into that darkness, go into that blackness, and pull ourselves out of it. So the ordinary world is whatever we consider ordinary for ourselves, whatever is normal, whatever our home life is. Your home life may be total crap, but it's still ordinary for you. So the hero's journey starts out when you're in your ordinary world. This is before you go on your mission, while you're on leave, before you joined whatever branch of the military you joined, or whatever company you joined, or whatever it is that you do. This is the ordinary world that you're living in before the event happens. And you need to give a little bit of background on that, just to give yourself a reminder and also to build upon that as you go into your experience. Okay, in the realm of myth, there's what's called the call to adventure. You're probably used to all these stories. I am not really great at drawing upon them. I don't read a lot of fiction and fantasy anymore. But I guess the one that everybody knows is Luke Skywalker from Star Wars. So your call to adventure might have been, hey, troop, get your gear, we're going. You probably were just following orders. Or you knew something was going to be hairy and nobody else was volunteering, and you volunteered. As we all know, that's something that we're told not to do, but we end up doing it because we know we're going to help somebody that means something to us, or it's a higher moral calling. So your call to adventure might have been as simple. It may not be some big mythical event, but that's how it's called in the hero's journey. But still, in real life, your call to adventure is when you chose or were forced into action. Okay, the refusal of the call. Most of the time, you don't have that option. However, sometimes it is the source of moral injury. You could have gone, but you didn't. And you're walking around carrying that burden on your shoulders. That is what's called a moral injury. Or you didn't take the shot when you should have taken the shot, and somebody in your squad or one of your buddies got killed because you didn't take the shot. That's not really the refusal of the call, but you can interplay that into the refusal of the call. So the refusal of the call may not apply to you, but I'm highlighting it here because it's often a source of moral injury for the military, for police, for firefighters, all emergency responders. Answering that call, making that quick decision. Sometimes we don't do that, and we carry that around because we didn't do it. Most of the time, though, we're just taking orders and we don't have a choice to refuse the call. What was your ordinary world like before you entered the event or before you joined the service? Somewhere, reach back and find which ordinary world you stepped out of to start your hero's journey. 2, what was your call to adventure? Was it when you went to boot camp? Was it when you got out of boot camp after advanced training? Was it volunteering for a mission? What was it that you would consider your call to adventure, even though it might have not been an obvious call to adventure? And finally, what was that first threshold that you crossed? Can you define it? Can you find it? Look for it, dig for it. It's in there somewhere. You don't have to write long, write 1 to 2 paragraphs on each of the 3, because you're going to be assembling your story as you go. And you may find out that you have far more than one story or one narrative or one thing that you want to record to get out of you and to heal yourself from. You're always going to have that with you, but you're going to lighten the load by writing about it. To a certain extent, going through this, you may be fighting yourself. You may be fighting the myth that you created for yourself. Now you're going to roll out of the myth and get into the real. That's the hardest part. Most people like to live by myths. We don't heal anywhere by living by myths. So don't expect this to be easy. Expect that you're going to be fighting some ideas and some ways that you may have recorded events as you went through them in your mind, and your mind might have accepted them as truth, but they're not always true. This is where you really have to dig in for the truth.